So we're going to update you today a bit about the Discovery Suite. It's a very exciting project. This from ANSYS. It's got a whole new business unit, and there's a big momentum behind it. Massive uptake at ANSYS, and a lot of people in Australia and New Zealand started. So let's just recap on the idea. So when you come up with a new project, you want to build a new component, you can have your ideas and give 10 designers the same task, and they'll come up with different ideas. Now, which ones of these are suitable? So the idea here is that a designer can quickly do a stress analysis, build it. They can also, as we'll see later, do some optimization. So you can churn through lots and lots of designs really quickly, and then that's going to throw some of them out as being bad. You'll come up with a few designs. Maybe you start off, you do 20 or 30, you get down to 4. You could take those through into Discovery AIM, which uses a more traditional technology. And we're looking here at a mechanical design, but it could be thermal, it could be fluids. So we then move that forward into AIM. We decide that's the part to go with. And then that can be passed across into the full design. So obviously you're not going to be using AIM to model the entire engine. You're going to need to go to your full mechanical premium for that. So the idea, again, just to reiterate, it's to bring design up front. So you've got ideas, you quickly design and simulate, and you work around this loop here before you come up with the ideas that you want to take out to your traditional CAE, and then you can take it back to the product. And you're seeing here big reductions in time. And that's the whole idea of this product, is to be able to do something very quickly, very easy to use. So reduced features, obviously. We're not taking the whole of our premium products and putting them into a simple code. The idea here is that the simple physics that you can deal with really easily is dealt with really quickly and in an automatic fashion. So one of the products here, well, we would start in this case by looking at these connecting rods in Discovery Live, come up with some solutions. That could be moved across into Discovery AIM, check it out, maybe make a tweak or two there, and then you pass that across to the analyst who is going to want to use the premium product on that, and then perhaps build it into an entire model. So in this case, that would be ANSYS Mechanical. So don't think of this as a way of replacing other products. That's the wrong idea. The idea is to bring simulation to people who traditionally will never, ever use those high-end products. It's people who are doing design that can then get a much better idea of the quality of their product before they start. So let's quickly just have a look at a couple of new things here. So each of these products themselves is developing. We're going to spend more time on Discovery Live, but just want to mention that there's been quite a lot of extensions to the AIM product in terms of now you can do random vibrations. You can have, there's more joints in that. It's easier to control which are happening. There's some improvements for nonlinear structural, and there's an improved passage of the data from Live into AIM. So we'll look at a couple of these in more detail. So if you want to do a random vibration analysis, you can now have a good stab at doing that in the AIM product. Discovery Live. So this is our fast-running software. It requires you to have a GPU. It's entirely GPU-based software. And we can do structural, internal, external CFD, modal analysis, conduction, thermal conduction, and that slightly worse quality figure in the middle is an electrical example because that only arrived in R2. Jonathan, of course, has already had that working with electrical, structural, and thermal simultaneously. So you can see that that's really quick and easy to use for that type of problem too. Okay, so one of the big things that people need is confidence. So there's now an extensive verification manual for discovery. If you're on the Discovery Forum, any of you can pull that down. You can take the physics that you're looking at and have a look at how well it does compared against either analytical solutions or good quality solutions from our premium products. So what they always find is there can be small differences, a few percent, 10% in some cases, but they're always moving in a similar direction. So that if you do design optimization, it's going to lead you in the right path. So you're not going to go and spend an enormous amount of money on something without first checking this in a premium product, but it's going to guide you to there much, much more quickly and allow you to do many, many more design operations. So one of the big things is this really automatic parametric study. I'm going to show a movie on that later, so I won't dwell on that now. Topology optimization is coming here. It's a beta feature at the moment, but you can do that now if you want to have a go. On the fluids, there's been quite a few more boundary conditions and some speed ups so that it's more flexible to use. You can now put a swirl in to represent output from a fan, etc. And really, really important, I think, is that once you've done something in live, you don't want to have to start again if you want to push that up to the next level of product. So you can now push those data, transfer it into AIM, and once you're in there, it will take up materials, loads, etc., whether it's a transient or a steady state you've been running, and push that information up into AIM. And then from AIM, of course, you can then send those models to mechanical if you need to, or to Fluent. So that's providing you with a workflow where you're not duplicating work. So one of the criticisms could be, oh, if I do it in live, I've got to start all over again when I go to AIM or to mechanical. No, you can do a transfer.
Iterating on the design of a duct for improving internal flow characteristics and performance. In this example, we'll jump right into an engineering simulation. You'll notice the different physics types that Discovery Live supports, including a modal analysis. I'll start the modal analysis and quickly select a few important options, such as fixing the three ends and looking at the second mode of vibration. I see the vibration is lower than I'd like. This is where the power of Discovery Live starts to shine. It's simple to select additional faces and fix their location. You'll see the simulation instantly updates with a new frequency value. Still, I can keep iterating and try new design ideas. For example, I want to know what effect a support rib will have on the frequency, and Discovery Live will provide me that answer very quickly. In this case, the frequency dropped a small amount, but it's still within my acceptable range. Next, let's look directly at the flow characteristics. And just as before, I need only set up a few important boundary conditions to set the simulation up. Things like velocities, pressures, and temperatures, including that of a heating element. Discovery Live instantly gives me a preview of the velocity profile. My goals are to somewhat equalize the velocity and temperature throughout both ducts. And right away, I can see the velocity looks higher through the bottom duct. Since Discovery Live is interactive in nature, I can test out ideas like what will happen if I add a vane to divert flow from one path to another. With Sketch and instant 3D creation tools like Pull, I have a diverter in no time and can instantly visualize the effects it has on the flow. This composite visualization is just one method to view results. In this case, it might be worthwhile to view streamlines in addition to modifying the angle of the vane to further equalize the velocities. Now let's move to the temperature distribution. As expected, with the heating element towards the top and a diverter now present, temperatures in the top duct are higher. But rather than rely on visual feedback, I can tell Discovery Live to monitor temperatures with probes at any place I like. Looking at mean temperatures, I can see about a 6-degree temperature difference. Since I'm curious what effect a longer heating element will have, I can use Discovery Live to change the geometry and instantly see the temperature difference decreasing. No other tool provides engineers a framework to ask what-if questions and get instant feedback. Because of Discovery Live, engineering simulation has become fast, cheap, and easy. Thank you for watching.
So I think there's a few key points in this. Firstly, how easy it is to use. Secondly, how you can interact with the geometry so quickly. That literally was draw a sketch, add it to the model, it joins, it updates, and it goes. So if you're in the design business and you want to try out ideas, it's really quick. It's very visual as well. So you can start to see here straight away where you've got large separations and things like that. So that's a demo of the particular physics. Now let's have a look at a demo of doing a design iteration.
It's interactive too, so an instant geometry change leads to instant updated results. But the reality is there are several design parameters and goals to consider in an example like this, such as the fin height and width, the fin count, and even the total volume used. Minimizing material usage is a common design goal, but it's often at odds with decreasing the maximum temperature. The answer to these sorts of problems are parametric sweeps, now in Discovery Live. Through the power of automation, they let you test multiple design points and discover the best design to meet your needs. Using any driving dimension of your choice, Discovery Live determines all possible design permutations and does three important things in real time for each design point. It creates the 3D representation, instantly solves for the calculated values, and plots the values on an interactive chart. As the calculating continues and more data populates the chart, trends begin to emerge. Discovery Live, by default, plots the design goals instead of the geometric or physics inputs. This naturally forms a Pareto frontier, letting you quickly see which iterations are better than others. The interactive chart in Discovery Live means clicking a design point will toggle to the 3D model and show the simulation results. Data in these parametric sweeps is easily configurable, so you can observe various trends and parameters and concretely tell you which variables have the most impact on your design goals. All data is saved with the file for future reference, and all data points can be exported for use in any post-processing tool. Simulation is crucial for the early and upfront design phase, and this increased ability to interactively explore generated results ultimately lets you weigh trade-offs in performance and select the best design for your needs. This is true upfront simulation that uses the power of automation to provide useful design.
Okay, so again there, what we're seeing is how easy it is to manage a lot of data, how we can set some physical ranges to options there, let it go away and run, and populate a table, draw us a chart. We can analyze that chart to see which direction different parameters are moving us in, and really, really quickly do that. I mean, this is something that any designer could use. When we tried playing with the fuse and the new electrical stuff, we didn't read the manual. We just chose that option, clicked on a surface, and it gave us a drop down of do we want to set a voltage or a current or whatever. So it's very, very intuitive. And I think that's the key. The visualization is the same across all the products. So once you start using one bit of physics, you know how to do it for all. So we've got quite a few users who have tried this out. We've got a number, as I said, around 20 plus purchases. It's very, very easy to try. Do talk to any of the guys from Leap here, and they'll be more than happy to discuss getting a trial, or somebody can come and demo it to you. Now, if you think that's cool, see what it's like now when Alan shows how, for Creo users, it's absolutely embedded right in the heart of Creo.
All right, thanks, David. As we mentioned, I think Nick or Paul mentioned at the start, part of the name CONVERGE is coming across from, PDC and ANSYS starting to work more closely together, and Creo Simulation Live is one of the results of that. So, essentially, for those of you on the Creo stream here, what we're talking about from the Creo release themes is this live simulation. Okay, so what we're seeing is basically just what David showed you. Okay, Discovery Live embedded inside Creo. Okay, so basically it's offering a new way of doing your 3D design exploration, fully embedded inside your Creo parametrics. So, all of those things that David talked about, the speed of solving, the ease of use, geometry enabled, interactive to see results as they happen live, okay? Taking all of that into Creo. So at this point, the capabilities are structural, thermal, and modal. So it doesn't have the CFD, which David just showed you with the airflow through the vents, but that's coming. I'll talk about that at the end, okay? So really the main thing about this is the workflow, okay? Being completely embedded inside Creo, we don't have to export data out, bring it in through the ANSYS tools. We can just stay inside the Creo environment. So if you're a Creo user, this is definitely something that you should be looking at if you're interested in Discovery Live. Okay, so let's have a look at it, okay? Just to show how easy it is to run, okay? So here I am inside Creo. I've got a sheet metal bracket here that I'm designing, and I want to start looking at, well, what should I be doing in this design phase, okay? So we've just got a new live simulation tab up here to start that process off, okay? So I'm now running Discovery Live. So there's three things I need: material, loads, and constraints, okay? I've already got my material defined. I can see it up here in my materials tree. So I'll put some constraints on there, just fix the surfaces. So those of you who might be using Creo Simulate, you can see it looks very much the same. I'll put a force on here on my surface, give it a magnitude and newtons, like so. And we are now ready to run simulation live. So I could start the simulation here. It's actually just like a rendering option in the graphics toolbar as well. Let's turn the simulation on. Okay. And there it is, done. Okay, so I've run that simulation. So I've got some results there. I can see my stress. If I want to, I can go into my results options and start to look at changes to them. So maybe I'll show that in megapascals. I could maybe show the minimum, maximum values on that model. Okay. Maybe we'll look at the deflection values. Again, I can show that. I could show maybe show an animated deflection of that. Maybe let's show an actual true deformation, so it's the actual values properly to scale. I can turn off the color plots if I want to, turn them back on, okay? So it's all in there. In the video, we saw simulation probes, so you can create them if there's a particular area you want to look at as you change things. So I've got those simulation probes, again, just using the same sort of Creo UI for that. I can pick a point and then keep that probe there while I look at my different design changes, okay? So that's simulation live in its essence, okay? The beauty of it is, as I said, for the Creo users here in the room, it's completely embedded inside, so the workflow is much, much simpler. No sending data back out and coming back in, okay? So if I want to look at changes to the design, I won't make you watch me build features here, so I'll just resume some back on that I had before. So I'll just resume those features, and there's my simulation results updated, okay? Like less than a second, okay? Fairly simple design case. So if you think about how long that takes to solve versus taking that out into a more advanced tool, Creo Simulate or ANSYS, and doing a full meshing and all of that sort of stuff, how long that might take to run. As David said, this is a designer's tool, right? I'm interested in what can I do for the design so I can really, really quickly iterate and come up with different ideas. If we bring this back, and now I can see the change in deflection straight away on that, okay? So that's what Simulation Live is inside Creo. Okay. So the main thing is around the challenges are, as a designer, you'll do your detailed design. You might hand that off to an analyst to go and do that for you. Okay. But in those early design phases, you want to do a lot of iterations of your design to come up with a simple or an optimal result. Okay. So, pardon me. You want to go through as many iterations as you can to get the best idea. When you're doing that, particularly that early stage conceptual work, you want to do lots and lots of ideas and test them all out and see what's going to be valid, okay? So the point of this is not to give you that final validation check. It's, as a designer, here is my design, here's where the maximum load is. That looks like it might be a problem in that area. If I put this bit of geometry in here, a rib here, does that move the load somewhere else? Does that reduce the load? That's what I'm interested in. Okay, and that's what this tool lets you do really, really quickly. So we're talking about, true simulation-driven design. Okay, the ability to do simulation at any point in that process, right from the early concepts, as many times as we want to, because it's nearly instantaneous. Okay, So the idea is this is really high speed, lots of guidance onto what you should be doing as a designer. Okay, if you want to go for something more high fidelity, we can look at Creo Simulate. So if we've got Simulation Live, the loads and constraints transfer backwards and forwards between the two. Okay, so you don't have to like redo your work. Or we could go out into ANSYS if we want to go to full multi-physics simulation. Okay. An example of customers, we've actually got some customers, actually there's one here in the room who's got it, but I won't mention them. You know, plenty of PDC customers very interested in this. As Dave was saying, you know, a lot of ANSYS customers very interested. So NASA, they've been a long time PDC customer. So that, you know, they're already using Discovery Live. Again, that whole ability to lessen the impact of switching over, changing things between design and analysis people, okay? All right, so in terms of its availability, so if you're on Creo 6, you've got to wait till 6.01, which is due, I believe, next week, okay? It should be shipping, okay? It's actually available in Creo 5 since late February, and it's also available for Creo 4 users as well, okay? So for the Creo users in the room, you don't have to be going to Creo 6 to get access to this. It's available now in earlier versions of Creo, okay? And I guess a roadmap with a big subject to change down the bottom there, but this is the current plans for things. So Simulation Live was first shown off at PDC's LiveWorks conference in Boston in June last year. That's where they first made the announcement. So Simulation Live was available as a demo, a trial license for that, available in December of last year. And as I said, through the first part of this year, it's being released inside the Creo versions. Okay, so at the moment, as it says there, static, structural, thermal, and modal simulations. So the plan for Creo 7, which is due March next year, is to go through phase 2 of the implementation, which is to bring in the fluids that David showed you as well. Okay, so that's not there right now, but we're hoping to see that next year. Okay, and then also through the release of, through next year, we're also looking to see AIM embedded inside as well. Okay, so if you want to go to more advanced multi-physics, as Dave was talking about, we should be looking at seeing that inside Creo. Okay, and then further expansion of AIM beyond that. So that's the current release plans. Don't hold me to that. Okay, but that's what the plan is at the moment. Okay, so that's a very quick look at Simulation Live. Okay, so as I said, if you're interested in that live simulation Discovery Live, you know, this is if you're a Creo user, then this is the tool you should be looking at. If you're not using Creo, or maybe you need fluids or things like that right now, then you should be looking at the Discovery Live product, okay?